Alright, y'all, so we officially have the NBA free agency starting November 20th, and there's going to be a lot of names going around. There's already plenty of rumors that are being spread around the social medias of the NBA, and although it might not be the most loaded free agency class, there's still plenty of guys who can help your team reach those championship aspirations. And so today I just want to talk about four free agents who I believe are a bit more under the radar, but I also think that they have a good chance of providing some solid impact to whatever team signs them in a couple of weeks. Starting off, we have Joe Harris, who played for the Brooklyn Nets for the past couple of seasons, and his contract is finally up. He is a career 42% shooter and has worked hard enough on defense that he's not necessarily a negative, he's not a liability. He plays good team defense and can definitely be a helpful asset to many teams in the league. Now, with Joe Harris being 29 years old, he will probably be looking to sign a bigger deal that could potentially land him some more money. The Nets are, as of now, the front runners for just keeping Joe Harris on their team, but there is some ideas being thrown around the league that a team with more cap space might be willing to throw a lot of money at Joe Harris, somewhere maybe around the 15 million mark. For guidelines, we know that JJ Redick recently signed a deal 2 years for 26.5 million, or you could look at the recent Danny Green deal where he got 2 years for 30 million. So with the fact that Joe Harris is definitely at least as good, if not better, than those two guys I just mentioned, he's also younger than them, so it's plenty more years left in the tank, meaning that the Nets might have to open up the checking books if they want to keep Harris on their team for the foreseeable future, because he really would be a great fit next to Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Perfect role player, also just a good starting talent, can knock down threes at a high rate, one of the best three-point shooters in the league, and overall just a great player. And like I said, it is looking likely that the Nets are going to hold on to him, but be looking for teams like the Hawks, who have plenty of cap space and are looking to add in some of those rotational type guys to help Trae Young, Clint Capella, and John Collins, as the Hawks have already made it clear that they're going to be very aggressive in this offseason in pursuing a playoff spot for the next season, and Joe Harris would be a perfect addition to help them do that. And now shifting over to another guard who is going to be up for unrestricted free agency this offseason is recent champion Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Now, Caldwell-Pope is a very interesting case because he's taken several pay cuts with the Lakers in order to stay on the team, and most recently, like I've said, he was arguably the third best player on a championship team, obviously behind LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but as I said, he was one of the few bright spots on the remaining roster for the Lakers throughout their playoff run, and now he has definitely made it clear through some reports that have come out that he is looking to maybe get some more money than focus on a winning team in this offseason. For Pope, we could again look at the Danny Green deal, which the Lakers very recently just made last year, where Danny Green signed 2 years for 30 million, and based off this last season, it's safe to say that Caldwell-Pope had a lot more impact than Danny Green in terms of winning that championship. So it is clear that Caldwell-Pope will most likely be asking for more than 15 mil, or at least 15 mil, much like with Joe Harris' situation. But on the other hand, Caldwell-Pope, there hasn't been many other reports in terms of teams that could be looking to be a potential suitor for him. So again, it's just going to be teams with cap space who are going to be able to go out and sign that like mid-tier splash, if you want to use that word, in terms of signing a player like Caldwell-Pope, who isn't necessarily going to be the closer or the main guy on the team, but can definitely be a good starter and rotational piece to whatever star he's playing alongside with. Much like with Joe Harris, maybe look for the Hawks or Timberwolves, or like I said, just any team that has the cap space to give KCP somewhere around $15 million. Look for those teams to go out and potentially sign him in this upcoming free agency, but it's also definitely still a possibility that the Lakers bring him back, maybe on a short-term deal or whatever he wants. And then the final two players I'm going to be talking about are more likely going to be signing the mid-level exception, especially with how the salary cap might be a bit lowered as we head into this next season. But they're also both bigs who, in what surprisingly has turned around into a kind of needy big league, mostly because the Lakers just recently won with a pretty big lineup, including LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the combination of JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, where we might see some more teams this offseason go out and make a somewhat decent, signing, or at least somewhat sizable signing, in order to get some more rim protection, or just, bigs who can play defense and be able to guard a team like the Lakers. With that being said, the third player that I'd like to talk about is Serge Ibaka, who most recently finished up a few years with the Toronto Raptors. And the Raptors are already losing Marc Gasol for the next year as he's heading back to Spain, and they might potentially be losing Ibaka too. So obviously right at the start, they're going to do their best to try and keep Serge Ibaka on their team. But if Ibaka does look to switch teams in free agency, there are a few who could definitely be using his skill sets. Those skill sets include the fact that Ibaka has shot 36% or better from 3 in 5 of the last 6 seasons he's played. He also grabbed 8 rebounds per game, and although he's not the same Ibaka, shot eraser that he once was in his prime, he definitely still is a very good rim protector and just has good defensive IQ and can provide you with some good bursts on the defensive end and be able to guard other centers very well. So the first team that I'd be expecting to give a look at Serge Ibaka is the New Orleans Pelicans, as they might be losing their starting center, Derek Favors, this offseason, and they're going to be looking for a similar type replacement, and Serge Ibaka, while it would be a good, if not better fit than what Derek Favors brought to the table for the Pelicans in this past season. I say that because Ibaka could, like I said, provide you with that rim protection and ability to defend other teams' bigs, and as of now, Zion just isn't necessarily the best defender in terms of IQ and just knowing where to be, so Ibaka could definitely help on that end. And then on the offensive end, we all know how great of a player Zion is in the paint in terms of just getting it in the low post or even high post and just driving to the rim and scoring, and Ibaka will definitely help with that, as he'll provide some spacing, as he can sit on the three-point line more and just be used as a spot-up shooter like he's proven in the past. And pretty much the same reasoning applies to team number 2 for Ibaka, which is the Los Angeles Lakers. He can provide them some spot starts, just solid minutes either way at the 4 or 5 position. He can play with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and he could also be the 5 in his own lineups. Again, he'll just help spread the floor, as Anthony Davis and LeBron can use the mid-range and paint area more. Ibaka could also just be a good rim protector, and at the least, he's just a good upgrade over both Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. So being able to replace those two with just one player can, 1, help you save some money, and 2, just make the rotations a bit easier on Frank Vogel. Either way, Ibaka would definitely be a very good glue guy signing for the recent champions, making them even better. And then lastly, these are not really as heavy in terms of the rumors or possibility of Ibaka going there, but it has been noted that with James Harden on the Rockets and Kevin Durant on the Nets, they're all former teammates, so there have been some ties made in terms of just, player chemistry, with Durant and Harden trying to bring Ibaka to their respective teams, although these are just nothing more than, some slight rumors as of now, so there is some potential, but not as much as the other 2 teams I've mentioned for Ibaka. And then the last player I want to talk about is Tristan Thompson, who I was very surprised to see is still only 29 years old. I feel like he's been in the league forever, and maybe that has to do with the infamous contract he signed, that 5-year for $82 million he signed back in 2015, but that contract is now up, and I very much believe that Tristan Thompson will not be receiving a similar deal in terms of, money-wise, but he can definitely be a good mid-level exception signing for a lot of teams who could be needing potentially a starting, but most likely a bench big on their rosters. Some of these teams include the Los Angeles Clippers, who currently have Ivica Zubac ready for a breakout season, but again, Tristan Thompson could definitely provide some solid bench minutes, especially when you consider the fact that it's likely that Marcus Morris and Montrezl Harrell will probably be leaving the Clippers in free agency, so they can bring on Tristan Thompson to carry that bench 5 role and just provide some good defense and rebounding for them when Ivica Zubac is not in the game. Another team that could be looking for a big this offseason is the Golden State Warriors. They definitely are going to need some rebounding help as they were near the bottom of the league this past season. Tristan Thompson can do this, and unless the Warriors draft someone like a Wiseman or Onyeka Okongwu, even if they do, there is a chance that Tristan Thompson would be starting for the Warriors, so that could be somewhat appealing to him, and it automatically brings them back into contention. Not like the Clippers wouldn't, but again, just both of these teams would provide Tristan Thompson with the ability to play for a ring again, which I bet any player would love to do, especially Tristan Thompson, who's now made his money and might just be looking to win. Another team that could be in on the Tristan Thompson sweepstakes is the Utah Jazz, and much like the Clippers, they might just be looking for a good bench piece to add to the current bench lineup that includes Jordan Clarkson and Joe Ingles, as that lineup definitely produced well over this past season, but they are in need of a good bench big. As of now, they don't have any good backup centers behind Gobert, a lot of just kind of, younger guys that still have some potential, so Thompson could help them kind of get quicker into a win now mode in terms of just being a good rotational piece for them. And then lastly, tying it back to Ibaka a little bit, if he does decide to leave the Raptors, then Tristan Thompson becomes a perfect candidate for Ibaka's replacement in Toronto, as they will definitely be looking for a big, like I said with Ibaka, Marc Gasol is already heading back to Spain for this next season, so the Raptors will be desperately in need of a big, and Thompson signing on the mid-level exception could be the perfect fit for that. They might even be able to throw him a bit more money than the mid-level exception, which also could be very appealing to Tristan Thompson. So overall, it could just be a starting spot with a little bit more money, and again, playing for a ring, which could be at the top of his list for all we know. But anyway, like I said, in a free agency that's not exactly loaded with talent, these four guys are, a lot of them could be mid-level exception guys, some of them could be making a bit more, but either way, they're definitely going to add some impact to whatever team does end up signing them. It's also somewhat likely for a few of these guys that they just stay with their same team, but either way, I just wanted to let you guys in on some more under-the-radar guys who haven't necessarily gotten a whole lot of, national media attention as the free agency is upcoming, and I just wanted to give my thoughts on a few of them. So I hope you enjoyed. As always, drop some comments down below on what you think about these four upcoming free agents, and while you're down there, maybe hit the like button, drop a subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, but most importantly, thank you for watching.